Hello. That went off flawlessly, unlike AEW's Exploding Ring,
Yeah.
which we will go into.
You know what I just realised? I don't.
What's that?
You know, the intro music is.
Yeah.
It sounds very, very similar to Imperium. I don't know if you've ever seen Imperium from NXT or NXT UK.
I have, yeah.
Sounds quite similar.
Yeah, it's a similar style, but it's...
Yeah, I know it's not, but yeah. You know, it's probably why I like it, actually.
Well, the same music's used for this and the regular version of this show, which is the WWE version. So it's the same music for both, because I don't see the point in splitting, making different music for it, unless I come up with something, which I might do at some point, to be honest, because I do get busy and sometimes things just pop into my mind. For example, going to be showing a show Wednesday evening, and it's one of the people on it, it's their birthday, and I've come up with a bunch of stuff simply because I just sat there thinking about things. I've made up a bunch of skits and a bunch of stuff, and it's just because the problem is when I can sit there for too long, I get creative, and that's usually a bad thing for people generally. So before we get started though, these shows have got sponsors basically, and it's this basically. It's Drawn Light Photography, which for those of you who don't know, my photography company. So
nothing like a shameless plug.
Well, yeah, I run this network. I fund this network. I think I should be able to put my own brand on. Yeah,
you know.
So basically, weddings and events are just starting to become a thing again for people. Now we're easing out of lockdown in the United Kingdom. So by all means, if you're looking to get anything like that done, let me know. Don't have a problem traveling abroad either. Just it's probably going to cost you a fair whack, but I've got no issue doing it. So, but yeah, any sort of photographic needs, you guys just get in touch and let us know. The links and stuff are all included below anyway. So there's that. And as I've already mentioned to my esteemed co-host Ant here, we're also going out on Twitch as well as YouTube. The first one of those was done yesterday, which was for our sister show, which is just 50/50 booking, and now on High Spot. So everything pretty much from this point forward is also going out on Twitch as well as here on YouTube, which is our main station here. But for some people, Twitch is easier, and that's fine. Always make it easy for people. So also, I'm currently working on a Patreon, so that may be a thing as long as that gets approved. So that could lead to extra stuff as well. So including merch. So yeah, that could be fun. So obviously, we have Ant here, and basically in this show, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we talk about everything other than WWE.
Yeah.
If you want WWE stuff, it's the other show, the one I did yesterday. This show is everything else. So, and which probably means we should start with probably the biggest thing from every other company that's happened in the past week. AEW Revolution.
Yeah, so it didn't exactly go off with a bang at the end there, did it now?
Well, kind of.
Well, yeah. For me, the ending was it was a letdown, that ending. You know,
to be honest, from what I understand, because I understand quite a bit what actually happened, they did lots of tests throughout the day and there wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
It's just that one time. And the problem with anything like that is unless you can pre-tape it, you can't ever guarantee it's going to work properly.
Just unfortunate, you know. Just one of them things, I guess. I mean, you know, I was expecting a massive bang, as it were, but no. I mean, I understand that Kenny Omega himself was quite furious with what happened.
Well, as he should be, because he's a dopey twat, and apparently the match was his idea, which doesn't speak well for him, to be perfectly honest, because I don't have a high opinion of the guy anyway, and this has just made it even less so, because it's like, right. What it did do, however, at least for me, because this is a thing, we haven't discussed this before, I felt very sorry for Eddie Kingston, because I mean, he's doing what he should do in that situation. What happens, though, is when you get Jerry Lynn and all those other guys come out afterwards, they should explain to him it didn't happen so he can react to it properly, as opposed to just laying there like he's dying.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Yeah.
And it just makes it, it comes off just really amateurish, in all honesty.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't blame Mox and I don't blame Kingston.
No, I don't blame any of them.
Because neither one of them, in that situation, they are both laying down and their eyes are closed. In Kingston's case, he's face down. Mox has actually just got his eyes shut.
Yeah.
How? They're not going to know. There's no way they can know.
I get this thing now. He's coming out. Obviously, he's saving his one of his his old best friends. That they had the feud going on a few months previous. But the one thing that bothers me with what's happened in this past week is there is absolutely no explanation at all as to why he left the Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny. No explanation. They've not had arguments. No crosswords or anything. It's literally almost as if they weren't together.
I don't know if you're aware. Do you know what's happened with the Butcher and the Bunny? Because they have been put with somewhere. I don't know if you're aware of this or not.
They were. Oh yeah.
Because this was covered on Dynamite, so that's why I mentioned it. So
they're now. What I'm thinking, because I watched Dynamite last week, and I'm thinking, obviously, with what happened at the end of the show, obviously the big thing with
we are going to get to that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, is there something I've missed with the Butcher and the Blade?
They are now part of Matt Hardy's faction.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was mentioned on Dynamite.
Do you know what? Now that you mention it, I do remember that bit.
So, but I do think there should have been some sort of explanation, because the last time you saw him before Dynamite was coming out with Kingston.
I probably forgot about that bit with the Butcher and the Blade and Matt Hardy. I think it's just because it's meh.
Yeah.
It's it's nothing spectacular. It's nothing mind-boggling. It's nothing that's going to make anyone scream, oh, Matt Hardy's now got the Butcher and the Blade. He's got this,
Yeah, but I would say, to be fair to particularly Butcher, I like Butcher.
Yeah.
I just don't think they've been booked well at all.
No. And the only thing I give Blade credit for is the fact that he's actually banging out. So,
Bunny. Yeah.
Anyone that gets to bang bang good. You know what I mean? Okay, in my book.
Yeah, all credit to the guy. It's. Something I am going to get to, though, seeing as you mentioned, Alex, it's made me think of another blonde lady that works for that company. That's Penelope Ford, right? I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but Jim Cornette had some rather choice descriptive words for her, right? Have you heard this?
No, I don't think I have.
Right. Basically, Miro immediately jumped on him for this, and I think rightly so, because he literally called her a slut.
No. Is it going back to because I know that before she was with this the one she's with now.
Before Kip, she was with Joey Janela.
Joey Janela, yeah. And before Joey Janela, she was with someone else in the wrestling business, so can't remember the guy's name. So is he just going off of that?
Oh, literally, this was to do with him talking about a segment he was in. She was in with Kip and Miro, and he his description of her was Kip's slutty girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? It doesn't surprise me with him, because there was something I remember he said about women, and this is going back into the 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember who he was ripping on, but he basically, said that all women should be in the kitchen barefooted and pregnant. So,
I vaguely remember.
I think I'm sure it was about Dawn Marie, maybe. If you remember Dawn Marie.
Yeah.
She was from ECW, and then she.
I know I've heard it. I think that even goes back to when he was WCW NWA, because I think he made that comment about what was it? Because when he was manager of Midnight, so they were feuding with a team, and there was a woman involved. And I think he said it about her as well. So it's not a new comment from Cornette to be that way. But I mean, I'm not the biggest Penelope Ford fan. Okay, I'll put this right out there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't call her that. I mean,
no, definitely not.
I mean, maybe question her talent. Maybe she needs more work. I don't know. I mean, I think she
You
could be
know,
good. Don't get me wrong. I just think she's a bit botchy, but
I
that's
think,
okay.
yeah. Do you know who she does remind me of? Penelope Ford. In a way, obviously because she always likes to, obviously, remember when the Hardy Boys got quite big in Raw, and then they brought Lita out, and Lita always used to do the Hurricane Ranas on the opponents and stuff, and the high flying
Yeah.
moves. Yeah, well, that's what Penelope Ford does, and that's.
I would say, to be fair to Penelope Ford, if you're getting that kind of comparison, that's not a bad thing. Lita
No,
was good.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of who she reminded me of. Probably not as good as Lita, but it's.
I would say, I was going to say, I would say, in offense to Penelope, she's not that experienced. I think Penelope
No.
will get better.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's not a case of I don't think she's got talent. I think she does. She just needs experience.
I don't know. They just seem to be using her more as a valet at the moment.
Which I think is one of the issues. She needs to wrestle more.
Yeah, of course she does. Yeah,
because you don't improve unless you do it.
Definitely not. No,
So
and it is.
I think it's one of the reasons why Britt Baker seems to be slowly coming along, in her ring ability as well, because she seems to be getting bits better as she goes along, because she's in ring wrestling more.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
because Britt Baker does not have a problem with her character, like the speaking. That's not an issue for her at all. Her in-ring work is sloppy.
Yeah.
But again, I think she'll get there. Like Penelope, it's just needs to wrestle.
Yeah, and it surprises me because the AEW women's division, it's quite stacked. So
it is.
It's one of them where there's plenty of people for them to be, going up against every week. And of course, you've got the Japanese tie-in as well.
The Joshis, and there's quite a few.
So, obviously with the New Japan and AEW working relationship, I'm pretty sure that Stardom, some of the women that have been on shows recently, are paid for Stardom.
Some of them definitely do. Yeah. Well, I've got to say my favorite of the ladies that come over from Japan lately, and it's a thing. I like Maki Ito.
Is that the one that was singing last week? Yeah.
I just like it because it's different.
Yeah.
And she embraces, because the thing is, if you're going to wrestle, if you're going to be that way as a character, you kind of need to wrestle that way as your character.
Yeah.
And she does, and I like that.
The only thing I find weird about that is that she's a heel. And you wouldn't think that character would be a heel because she's all smiley and she's all cute and all this, and
The reason she's a heel, because I actually have an explanation for this, because I know the origin of the character. She actually legitimately was in a Japanese pop band. She got voted out for being unpopular.
Right, so they tied that into the character.
Exactly. So it does make sense if you know the background.
Yeah.
But to be fair, they have explained this on the AEW television as well. I mean, Excalibur's mentioned it a few times when she's appeared. So, but I think that's why it works that way. But I get what you mean, because she does speak English, but not fluently.
No. More like broken,
Yeah, but I think, again, she falls in that same category. The more she wrestles, she'll get better. I also think she'll be more successful in America than she is in Japan.
Yeah.
Because I think her style suits America better.
Yeah.
So, but I happen to like Maki. It's one of those things. I also like Thunder Rosa, but again, we'll get to Thunder Rosa in a bit.
Yeah.
So, because the women are going to main event Dynamite this Wednesday, which we will get to.
So,
So,
they are pushing Thunder Rosa quite big actually at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we talk about Thunder Rosa, we'll just quickly touch upon that now, then we'll get back to Revolution. But Thunder Rosa's facing Britain in an unsanctioned lights out match on Wednesday for Dynamite. Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So there's a few things on Dynamite I'm looking forward to, but I like that match. Very much. Yeah. So, I also think it's a good thing because obviously you're also getting the women also doing the same stuff as the men are doing, because there hadn't been an unsanctioned match for women yet, and now there's going to be one, which I like.
Yeah. The last lights out match I saw was Moxley was involved, and I think.
Well, AEW have only done like two of them, right?
Yeah.
Before this one's going on Wednesday, and Mox was in both of them.
Yeah. I'm sure one of them was against Omega. I'm sure.
It was at Full Gear.
Yeah.
So that was one of them, and Mox had one against Joey Janela. In fact, there's been 3 previous ones. Sorry, because then Omega's also faced Janela in one as well.
Yeah.
So, but though the one against Janela was on Dark, I think it was when Omega faced him, and the other one, and the one against Mox, I'm pretty sure was on like Fighter Fest.
Oh, that reminds me as well. You've got the new show starting today as well. You know, Dark Evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, elevation or evolution is elevation. Elevation, yeah.
So yes, that will get a watch later because you've got Tony Schiavone and Paul White commentating. I'm curious to see how that goes because I think that could be quite interesting.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because Paul White's quite a funny guy. You know,
so Schiavone, if you've heard him on his podcast, particularly, he's a funny dude.
Yeah, you know.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what they do.
I actually think Paul White, if he hadn't made it as a wrestler, he could have been a stand-up comedian. Is that you know?
I think there's a lot of things he could have done but people just don't want to look at his size and just think sports. But he can act.
Yeah,
he's funny.
Yeah,
and that's just stuff we know about. There's probably other things.
Oh yeah,
but. There you go. It's definitely one of those. But yes, that will get a watch later on, definitely. So all that's like to be like early tomorrow morning for us because UK and all that. So, but apparently it was taped after Dynamite last Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, which I don't have a problem with. It's a YouTube show. Does it matter? No.
No, definitely not.
It's the same reason why they take Dark after and before Dynamite. Do I care? No.
No, definitely not.
They're not putting it on a network primetime television channel. It's going on YouTube.
I suppose when they're taped as well, obviously when they tape it, they can watch it back, and if there's any issues, they can obviously delete them, or they could even get these. It has been known that they've actually sent wrestlers out again to do redo a finish, or so that's the kind of thing they can do.
Yeah, which I think is perfectly fine, especially at the moment because you've got no crowd.
No. Yeah.
So. Because there's no crowd for the Dark matches, it's actually just the wrestlers.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing as well is with Dark, and I know they do this, and to be fair to AEW, the commentary team, they make a point of making this very clear. The matches on Dark are not shown in the order they're recorded.
No.
So, and I think that's fair enough because put them in the order you think works.
Absolutely.
WWE could do doing that for sometimes too. But a lot of wrestling companies, to be fair, could do with doing that.
That WWE could do with doing, but there you go. That's a story for another day.
Exactly. But to be fair, some of the other companies could look to doing that well. I mean, it's one of the reasons why NWA Power when it was on worked quite because it's an hour show and they just put things where they worked. Not an issue. I think it's a good thing to do. If you're going to pre-tape a show, do what you can with it.
Yeah,
obviously, if it's live, there's nothing you can do about that. But
no.
It's a pre-tape show. Yeah, make it work. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
At all. But that should definitely be fun. Let's see if I get back to. Oh yeah, Ethan Page.
Good signing.
Our man for the ladder match. So
you know what? I think that's a good signing by AEW. That actually. I mean, because there's a lot of people have been criticising AEW, that I've seen, that it's almost like a retirement home for ex-WWE, the old guard, like Jericho.
We are going to get to that because we're going to get onto the big signing in a minute as well.
Yeah. But, I don't find any problem with them bringing guys like that in because, they're still a fledgling company. They're still, just shy of 2 years old. So of course you're going to need these big guys, the big names around to help get them established. Because by the time then they've rolled off into the sunset, guys like Ethan Page will be at that level then, where they'll then be able to sort of like help the company progress.
Yeah, I do, but there's another reason to look at it this way as well. What big name in the wrestling industry, particularly that's well known in America, are you going to find that's not been in WWE to bring to a company?
Oh yeah, not many. Unless you're talking about Japan, but obviously, if you're talking about stateside, I can't really think of any at all.
Well, that's the point.
And it was only until a couple of years ago you could have said Sting, but then Sting ended up joining the dark side, as it were. So
Yeah, and not long after him, you got Abyss who finally did it as well. So he was the other holdout who'd never done it.
Yeah, not as a wrestler, obviously, but he's still with the company. He's one of the backstage, sort of like, is he one of the agents or?
He's an agent, yeah.
Agent, yeah. You know?
So that's definitely the thing, because people have got to realise, if you want big name veterans to help your wrestlers, you ain't going to find any that haven't been in WWE before. So try and get the best ones you can to help your talent. What's wrong with that?
Of course. You know, I mean, the same can be said in football, for instance. I mean, you know, like United got Cavani, who's there to help the younger guys, like Green. You know, the same. That's just a comparison I'm making.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, people criticise the signing, saying, "Oh, this guy's old," but he's there to serve a purpose as well. These older wrestlers are there to nurture the younger ones, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, using the football example you just gave us, I mean, soccer for you Americans, but that's something we're going to get onto. But football is what it actually is. Someone like Cavani, you've brought him into a team where pretty much everyone else is like 25 or younger, essentially. Right? You need a player like that to teach those players how to deal with big-time matches, because he's an international, he's played World Cup, Copa of Americas, so he's used to big-time events and knows how to handle them. When you're inexperienced or a young player, you've never dealt with that, so you need that help.
Exactly. So that's why I made that comparison there. I know this is like a wrestling show, but I needed to use the football comparison just so people kind of get it. You know,
yeah, it does make sense. I mean, look, I'll give you an American football example for our American viewers. You got Tom Brady, Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
If you want to show a quarterback how to be a quarterback, get them to work with Tom Brady. It's not difficult. You can understand why.
Yeah.
Or Wayne Gretzky for ice hockey, if you're going to go that route.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You know?
Yeah, it does make sense when people think about it, but people are far too heterogeneous. Think, oh, they've got nothing to value. Of course they've got something of value.
Well, you know, and you've got to have that. You've got to have that mix, haven't you? You can't just have the young guys there. You've got to have a mix. You know,
it wouldn't work if it was just young guys. It doesn't. Like it doesn't work if it's just old guys. Either way, it doesn't work.
No, definitely. You know,
or young enough women as well to include them too, because that does make a difference.
Yeah. You know,
so I think it's one of the reasons why you have. A lot of the Joshis, you've also got the woman who trained most of them as well, Emi Sakura.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, because she's trained a lot of the AEW, the AEW Joshis, Rio, Shida, and so on.
And it shows.
Yeah. You can see it.
Yeah.
So you want people like that, and then you've got Aja Kong who turns up as well. There's another very experienced female.
Well, Aja Kong's also a trainer, you know. She actually trains them. She actually guides them as well.
Yeah,
you know.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, like, she was on WWE going back about 20 years.
I do.
Where she was having that kind of feud with the likes of Lita.
It's the first time I saw her, actually.
Yeah. You know, so it doesn't hurt at all, does it? It really doesn't hurt.
No, I mean, if we go to the New Japan way of doing things, that's what they have Young Lions for.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the Young Lions, it's the way they work it in Japan is, I suppose, a young lion is, I guess, like WWE call the jobbers enhancement talent, whereas in New Japan, the Young Lions go up against like the stars, and yes, they might be losing in every match, but they're gaining valuable experience. You know,
essentially,
it's very strict. It's very strict. You actually are in a dojo as well, and they have to respect. It's almost in a way similar to like sumo, where the guys have to do the chores for like the masters, as it were. So you get these young lions that perform in tasks. You know, they have to obviously carry the baggage and, you know, wash the clothing, prepare their meals, that kind of thing. They're never allowed to raise the voice to that, you know, to the stars. You know, they're not allowed out without supervision either. So it is really, really strict. So for these guys, you know, going through that, you know what I mean? It shows a lot of dedication if they can stick it out.
I think the reason that also works in Japan is it culturally works as well because of the culture there.
Yeah, they're
You
far more
probably-
disciplined in Japan.
Yeah, you probably couldn't do that in America for various reasons.
No. But obviously, Japan, you know how disciplined a country they are.
Yeah, you definitely couldn't. You couldn't do that here, and you couldn't do it in America.
No,
It wouldn't work.
definitely not. No.
It's why
Well,
It's why NXT's the state it's in, and the enhancement talents are in as well. As for AEW's version, because you've got the Nightmare Factory, which seems to be doing pretty well for itself, because those guys, yes, they appear on Dark and they lose, but it's more similar to what happens with the Young Lions than it is with WWE's version. Yeah. It's not the same by any means.
No, but again, invaluable experience, even losing. I mean, you know, Kenta Kobashi, you know, famous All Japan wrestler, you know, Pro Wrestling Noah. He lost the first 63 matches of his career. So that says something. And then look what he didn't turn out quite badly, did he?
No. And if you look at people who are young lions and went out on excursions, I mean, you got Okada, who's a very famous example of having a very bad.
Naito Tetsuya.
Yeah, look at him. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Naito. He was in. Okada was done like almost like a Green Hornet kind of character.
Yeah, in TNA.
Naito was also in TNA at one point.
Yep.
You know, Jay White. He went on to Ring of Honor. You know,
and Juice Robinson was in NXT.
And then you've got you've got a guy called Master Wato, who's now he was a young lion, and he went on excursion, and I think he was in Mexico. Yeah. You know, and you've got this the Great Okan. He was in Rev Pro.
Yeah,
he was a young lion, but he wasn't called Great Okan, obviously, when he was the young lion. He went by his real name of Tomoyuki Oka.
No, I mean, from what I remember about the young lion thing is that once you graduate to the point of not being a young lion anymore, you generally change your name and pick a new wrestling name.
For the most part, yeah.
That's why I said generally.
You know who the young lions are because they all dress the same. They all wear black trunks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's strange because some of them decide to stay that way. I think Minoru Suzuki wears the black trunks because obviously he went through something similar when he was wrestling, and I just think he's basically stuck to it almost like as a mark of respect.
Do you really think anyone's going to tell Suzuki to change though? Really?
No. I mean, it might be Monday today, but if that guy come up to me and said it's Saturday, then it's fucking Saturday.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, yeah, is anyone going to tell him to do that? I don't think so.
No, definitely not. No.
So, yeah. For some people also will value that experience, and that may be why Suzuki still dresses that way, because it's a case of he values that, and that's probably a defining point in his life. So that's possibly why he still dresses that way.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess anyway. So this obviously started off from the fact that we mentioned about Ethan Page debuted in the ladder match. He did a good showing for himself. Obviously, he didn't win the ladder match, but I think he did well for himself.
Absolutely. You know?
I do have a complaint about the ladder match, but we'll get to that in a minute. The winner was Scorpio Sky for the ladder match, which I didn't have a problem with. You picked it. Well done.
Yeah, I thought he would.
So it's cool. Yeah. My issue with the ladder match was Cody.
Yeah. I don't get. I mean, I know is it one of them where he's just trying not to push himself sort of like to the front because obviously he's pretty much like co-owner of the company, and you know he don't want that thing where everyone's saying, you know, a bit like Triple H, if you get what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah, like their own little Reign of Terror type deal.
Yeah. So,
but you got at the moment the Bucks and Omega. So
yeah, I know. That's a different thing. There, it's
not with Omega. The Bucks, yes,
no.
But I'll get onto that in a bit. We'll get onto that in a bit because we do need to speak about that because that ties into wiping on Dynamite as well. So, but the Cody thing bothers me because literally, he got injured. Right, they take him out of the ring. Perfectly fine, dude. Then he's still in a tunnel, but he's always on camera.
Yeah.
Why?
Stay away. Yeah. If you're injured, stay away.
Yeah. And then he come back, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that was clearly worthwhile doing. Although I kind of like what it led to on Dynamite, not being funny, but I didn't like how he was in that pay-per-view thing. But obviously, on Dynamite, it led to him against Pentagon, which will take place on Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Big fan of that. Definitely want to see more of that.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So Scorpio won that match. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the highlights. Really, the Bucks retained their tag titles against Jericho and MJF. Kind of surprising, but not when you bear in mind what happened on Dynamite.
Yeah. It's one. I kind of expected them not to win it anyway. Them two, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but the thing is, I wanted them to win it, but
You see now why they didn't win it.
Yeah, it obviously it does make sense, which is nice, but at the time I was like, but it just goes to show, don't always assume that you know what's going on.
No, definitely not.
Because I guarantee you, very few people, if anybody, picked what was actually going to happen at the end of Dynamite.
No.
I know I didn't.
I certainly didn't.
I'll hold my hands up there. I didn't.
I didn't.
I thought Cody was going to end up being the leader of that faction, but there you go.
Yeah. Well, I said to you the other week that MJF had turned on Jericho, which kind of, in a way, he did. But I thought it'd be the whole of the Inner Circle turning on Jericho, booting him out of the group, and MJF being the leader.
I've got to say, I like what they did, though. I think it was much smarter.
Yeah.
And I like that.
It's good because now it's another faction now.
Yeah. Also,
that's what I thought that AEW was lacking was factions.
Oh yeah,
there's only two, wasn't there? So
do you know the referees are going to form a faction, don't you?
Yeah.
There's also going to be a podcasting faction as well.
Yeah. So
sign a few more commentators, they could actually probably have a faction. But but yeah, I mean the Bucks one. Yeah, fair enough. What it is. Paige beat Matt Hardy. Good is my response to that one.
Yeah.
So because I think that's what should have happened. In all honesty, I mean it wasn't the best of matches, but it did what it needed to for Paige, and that was the point of that match. So fair enough.
Well, that's it. I think they need to push Paige towards a world title. I think he's got a world title in his future, but I think he's been holding up for a reason. Yeah,
and we will get to that as well because obviously something happened on Impact, which will relate to what happens with the world titles.
Yeah, so, I think I know what you're going to say because I've read that.
Have you seen it? Because I actually have, so I know what happened.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Other matches. Shida retained her from Izanami. Love the match. Great match. Too many near falls though. Only issue with it.
Yeah.
But other than that, no issue.
No, yeah. And obviously it makes sense with what happened after the match and then what came up on Dynamite as well. So obviously, they're pushing that a bit more.
Yeah, I do like the fact that, I mean, a lot of people would have looked at it and gone, oh, it's Nia and stuff. I liked the fact you also got Britt and Maki Ito in there as well. I was like, Maki Ito.
Yeah.
So I it's just a thing. I like Maki Ito. I don't care if nobody else does. I don't care. So I enjoy the act. It's different and it's fun. Which I think is what you need.
Why not?
Whether it bears out in the long run, no idea. But I'm enjoying it while it's going on.
Why not?
So let's see. So what other matches we got? Oh yeah, the street fight. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know your opinion of this, but I'll tell you mine. I like how they did it.
Yeah.
It was much better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie.
No. Well, that's the thing, though. I was a bit worried leading into that they were going to do that's just almost like a cinematic kind of thing,
I mean, it was cinematic, but they didn't know.
Not to the effect that it was not as anywhere near as cinematic as the AJ Styles and Undertaker match at WrestleMania,
Yeah, this is what I mean. For me, this was done. This is how you do cinematic matches.
Yeah.
Because I personally like this. In fact, I would go so far as to say this is actually my favorite cinematic match I've ever seen.
Yeah.
followed by the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah, you know.
Two very different matches, but done the way they should be.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
And Darby Allin, I bet that man needed several weeks to recover from that.
Oh, gee. He'll probably be on Dynamite this Wednesday. He will.
When he was on it, the one just gone.
And you know, 61-year-old taking the bumps that he took.
Yeah, did very well to himself. There were a couple of times I noticed edits and cuts, and you know what? Don't care.
Yeah. No, definitely not.
That's why you have a match like that, to protect somebody who may be vulnerable to getting hurt.
Yeah, so that would have been. I don't know how far in advance that was taped.
I don't think it went too far, because in case anything had happened, they would have needed to have covered for it.
Yeah, but you know, I enjoyed the match. You know,
so it was definitely enjoyable. I like the way they filmed it. I liked the bits in it.
Yeah. You know?
No problem. Apparently, most of that was Darby, and it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
But I also like. I think Cage and Starks very much contributed to this match as well. It's not just Darby and Sting. That's
no
credit where credit.
A lot of people seem to be comparing Darby Allin to Jeff Hardy.
I think that's unfair on Darby Allin. I think Darby Allin's better.
Yeah, I do.
So I really did like the Brian Cage suplex where he's walking them up the stairs.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience, I have suplexed people before. I mean, you know this for a fact.
Yeah.
Doing it normally is hard.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know,
walking up steps holding someone like that.
Definitely. You know.
That is not easy.
No, definitely not. You know.
And good old Ricky Starks was there to take the loss, which I think, to be honest, is the person who should have taken the loss.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters if he gets beaten.
No, yeah, I don't think it hurts him at all.
Well, that's what I mean.
You know, I wouldn't go as far as to say he was the weak link in the match, because it'd be unfair to say that he was a weak link. I mean, but like you say, I can't see anyone else being the one to take the fall.
Yeah, Darby's the CNC champion. Sting's first match back. And
Cage obviously is the powerhouse, and he's right. You know what I mean? So they have to basically protect Cage as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think loses without losing, as it were.
Yeah, they did a good job on all counts. And Starks also, because Starks has the gob on him.
Yeah,
he can get over that. It's not an issue as long as they don't keep doing it.
No, definitely not. No.
And anyway, there is no shame in being beaten by Sting.
Definitely not. You know, so I don't think so. Anyway.
Yeah. So, because you look at it this way, veteran, multiple-time world champion pins me. Oh, okay, I got beat. I can learn from this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not an issue. There will be people who probably think it's an issue, but no.
I don't see any issue in it whatsoever.
No, I don't think it is at all. So
it's not like, like when he had his one and only match in WWE and he loses to Triple H. You know what I mean? It's, they went back up.
He had 2 matches in WWE.
2.
Sting.
I remember the one against Triple H.
The other one he had was against Seth Rollins. These been singles matches. That's how Sting screwed up his neck.
Oh, right. Is that, yeah.
Basically, Seth botched a buckle bomb.
Oh, right. So that's how he got injured.
Yeah. It's a Night of Champions from 2015, I believe.
Can't you tell that I don't watch WWE? When something like this gets my attention.
Yeah, this was all I got. It was like Night of Champions 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
So
I think it was pretty much that. Yeah.
The only other time he had a tag match with Cena against The Authority as well, but that's about
I've only seen bits and bobs of Raw and SmackDown in the past 5-6 years, because for me, I think
3 matches, and 1 was a tag.
Yeah, I mean it's what when Undertaker lost his streak. That's what done it for me, pretty much. So.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but at the same time, I understand if you're going to get anyone to do it, that's probably the person to do it. If you are going to do it. But at the same time, I wouldn't have done it. I'll
be honest with you. I don't think Brock should have been the one to end the streak.
Well, out of all the people that were there at the time,
It didn't do anything for his career. It should have been someone who it would have done something for. Someone like a Bryan Danielson or a CM Punk should have been the one for me.
yeah. Well, Punk had the chance the year before and they didn't pull the trigger on it, so you kind of knew it wasn't going to be Punk, but wouldn't be Daniel Bryan because WWE don't really rate Bryan despite what they tell people. So
there's another reason I don't like him. You know.
So apparently he's on his last tour, so this is his last run. So basically, once he finishes this time, Daniel's retiring, and good luck to the guy.
Yeah. He's definitely earned it. He definitely earned it.
Absolutely. Bryan Danielson for all us who are following independent stuff rather than Daniel Bryan, but yes. Yes, the world title match. Yeah, Omega won. We kind of figured this was going to happen, and it happened exactly as we figured it would because the Bullet Club pussies can't win on their own, little cowards. It made no sense to me that it went down the way. If Omega's going to win, get them run out, frame the bat, explode in his eyes, not a problem.
No.
Okay? Do it that way. Fine. Don't have him come in the ring, handcuff him, beat him. It's like, really? It's like every Bullet Club angle for the last 8 years.
Yeah. It's just too repetitive.
Yeah.
You know? Do something different.
Like Kenny Omega matches in general, too repetitive. V-trigger, 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 snapdragon, V-trigger, V-trigger, one way pin.
Yeah, that's it. So,
although I liked how Moxley got out of the first one when Danger win the match, though. That I liked. Yeah. Because that was clever.
But that story's not over. That's definitely not over.
Well, as a consequence of what happened on Wednesday, Mox and Kingston are facing the Good Brothers in a tag match. I don't think it's for the Impact titles, but they're definitely facing each other.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that progresses because obviously, I imagine Omega will get involved. He can't help himself.
Yeah.
And as well as the Golden Phallus.
Yeah.
It's not a secret. People notice I do not like Callis.
Nope.
At all.
No.
So he needs to go away, as in actually go away.
Well, I mean, I don't even, someone like Kenny Omega doesn't even need a voice, you know what I mean, a mouthpiece, because I know obviously you don't like the guy as such, but I think Omega is really good on the mic. So why does he need someone speaking for him?
To be honest, not from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But maybe...
saying that, though, in a different setting, I think he was, in New Japan, he's very, very fluent at Japanese. You know what I mean? So...
maybe he finds it more comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I suppose because the fans are more respectful of it, but
he looks awkward doing promos to me.
Yeah. That's what I was going to touch on. It's like, in New Japan, he'd speak in Japanese. He'd break, say a few words in English, and then the usual good night, goodbye, good night, bang. Which I've not seen him do much of that in AEW.
I mean, he did it for a while, and then he ended when he first was doing singles, and then he got into the tag title thing with Paige, and that kind of disappeared at that point. He's not really making sense, and of course now he's a heel. He won't do it.
No, definitely not. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even like it. It is. I don't like the character. I get be a heel, but what's the character all about? I mean, I'm confused.
Apparently, it's the cleaner.
Yeah, so you got those women coming out with the brushes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so is it something he used to do back, a few years ago? Because I'm sure I've read that he's gone back to being
in New Japan when he was a heel in the Bullet Club. He was the cleaner Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I mean, because that was at a point where I had lost touch with New Japan, so it's something that because I've only been back watching New Japan now for the past 3-4 years. Yeah. So anything before that,
I'll say when he dethroned AJ as head of the Bullet Club, that he was the cleaner then.
Right. So yeah, that makes sense now.
So that's where that comes from. So that's maybe why you're not overly familiar with it, but that's the origin of it. It was a Japan thing he did.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, it may work better in Japan. It just doesn't work.
Possibly, yeah, no.
In my opinion, other people may think differently, and that's fine.
So basically, this cleaner character,
Mm-hmm.
is it almost like he's some kind of hired assassin?
That's the thing. It's too.
I've watched films, and you've got people who hire almost like assassins or someone to come in to do like what you call a clean-up job. So basically what they do is then they go and kill somebody for someone, and then it's like, it's basically they've cleaned up. So is it something along those lines?
Well, that's the problem. You don't really know, and that's the issue, because I think that's one of the reasons the character doesn't work, is because we don't know what the cleaner is.
Yeah, I mean, if it was some like hired gun, yeah, but who's the one that's hired him?
Callis would be my suspicion.
And then you'd have to ask yourself the question: why is he going after Moxley? Because Moxley's never had any interaction with Callis. So,
okay, this is a good point to where we get onto the Impact reference. There was an Impact unification match for the TNA title and the Impact title.
Yeah.
Anyone who doesn't want to know the result of this, if you don't know, blank your ears for about 30 seconds while I mention this, okay?
Is this the Rich Swann thing?
Yeah. Because Rich Swann faced Moose and Rich Swann won, so he now holds both belts.
So that's why then, is that why Omega's now facing Rich Swann?
Rebellion.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's exactly why. Yeah. And who's one of the people in charge at Impact?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Callis.
Right.
So I think that's why, because I think it's the whole Kenny Omega's belt collecting gimmick as well.
Yeah.
Because he's already the Mecha champion for AAA. He's the AEW champion, and now possibly wants the Impact one. So I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
So, or maybe the idea is that he's cleaning up and taking all the titles. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a bit like when the tag team, it was going around all the different promotions and going, taking their tag titles from them. Similar thing there.
Yeah. Until you get like 9 belts that Ultimo Dragon did at one point, you ain't worth shit.
No, definitely not.
I saw a picture the other day of him holding them all, and it still really shows how insane that was.
Wow, I know.
So, what I really didn't know at the time, I mean, you may have known this, is that one of those belts he's carrying is actually the WWE Light Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Which got left in New Japan for some reason.
Yeah, he had the UWA one. He had the light heavyweight one in New Japan at the time.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be the junior one?
Yeah, junior. Yeah. It used to be called like heavyweight back in the day, but then obviously they changed the name to junior. So, yeah.
But yeah, there's like 9 titles on the guy, and you could barely see any of him because he's covered in belts.
Yeah.
But until you can get to that point, you're not a belt collector, you're an amateur. Oh, my Dragon's the belt collector.
God, I bet they all weighed him down, didn't they?
Well, he's supposed to be like a cruiserweight. I bet he weren't wearing those.
No.
He's probably more close to Vader's weight or Bam Bigelow's weight.
No.
Oh, but I think that's probably why that's going on, most because that match at Rebellion is the honest answer as to why the Omega thing's going.
Yeah.
We'll see, but I strongly suspect Omega's winning that match, though.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Obviously, the tag titles changed hands as well. The Impact tag titles, I do believe. David Finlay and Juice Robinson won them.
Well, that's not a bad thing for me because, plus Gallows and Anderson. Right.
Yeah.
I don't mind them. Just keep them at the Bullet Club, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to be in the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club also doesn't need to be a thing, FYI.
Yeah, 'cause, yeah. Remember me speaking about a theory about the Bullet Club? I'll touch upon a theory soon when we get to it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so there's been a few things on Impact
Mm.
going on, so we will touch upon those as they come up as well. Let's see. So we'll go to Dynamite now because there's a reason to.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we now have, as a result of what happened on last week's Dynamite, we have Penta versus Cody because basically Penta threatened to make it so he couldn't hold his kid anymore.
Yeah.
So Cody jumped the crowd and attacked Penta. I liked this from Penta. I also liked the guy who's doing the translations into English for him as well. I thought he did a very good job of portraying Penta's smugness.
Yeah.
So, and for those of you not familiar with that gentleman, he is Alex. I never remember his surname, but he's on BTE and a bunch of other skits they do backstage as well. Plus, he does some of the post shows as well.
Yeah.
Also, he legitimately does the Spanish commentary for AEW shows as well. So it wasn't just a plant, that is what he does.
Yeah.
So, but I thought he did that very well.
Yeah. Well put together.
Yeah, so very well done with that. It got exactly what you want to do. And I know exactly what I want to happen in that match, but I'm not sure I will tell the people.
No.
Or would you like to hear my theory?
Well, go for it.
Right. Brandy's pregnant, right?
Yeah.
So Cody's going to want some time off. I think Penta breaks his arm. Which is Penta's arm breaking gimmick. He's well known for this. For those of you who are not familiar with his stuff outside of AEW, he's done this a few times, and it'd be a good way to get Cody off of TV so we can go home and spend some time with Brandy and Bubba.
Yeah.
So just a theory, but I still want to see the match anyway. I want them to have a good match first, and then Penta can do his spot.
Yeah, that sounds good. It'll be one way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it may not happen, but I think it's a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Also, we get to have the other two members of Death Triangle facing the Bucks, and I'm looking forward to that happening.
Yeah. This is something that's quite confusing as well because Pentagon's he's playing a blatantly heel character, whereas Pac and Ray Phoenix are more, I'd say, tweener.
Yeah, but to be fair to Pac, whether people cheer him or not, he acts the same. He's just a bastard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same goes for Phoenix. He's the same whether he's a heel or a face. It doesn't matter to him.
Nah.
Which is why I think that works.
Yeah.
So
when you put it like that, then
But traditionally, yeah, you'd be right. But because of the way they interact as Death Triangle, people cheer them, even though they are very heely.
Yeah.
But they're not overly heely. They are.
No. Who would you say subtle heelish characters?
Yeah. They're not anti-fan heel. They're anti-wrestler heel, which is a different thing.
Anti-establishment, as it were.
Yeah.
So,
They don't care if you're a face or heel; they'll still kick you.
No. Yeah. See, that's the one thing I like about it in Japan is there's basically no such thing as face and heel, really. Not in the traditional sense, anyway.
No, I got you. It's hard to explain to people who've never seen it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely has its issues, but when it comes to kicking people, you don't really be kicked by Penta, Pac, or Phoenix for that matter. All three of them.
No.
I wouldn't recommend that. Although Phoenix had a very good match on Dynamite against Matt Jackson. Big surprise. Phoenix has a good match.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, look, it's 2 o'clock. Yeah, Phoenix still having a good match, and it'll be the same the next day, and the next day, and the next day.
Yeah, I don't think he's capable of having a bad match, is he?
I've not seen it.
No. Yeah.
I think the same thing applies to Penta and the same thing applies to Pac. I've never seen them have bad matches since, in Pac's case, since he left where.
Yeah. And then he worked Dragon Gate, so.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm. Ever since he left that place and became the bastard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I do enjoy saying that.
Yeah.
Almost as much as Justin Roberts does.
Yeah. The Yeah. It's
Because
funny.
you know he enjoys that. You can so tell.
I said that to someone the other week. They mentioned something that Pack had done, and I said, "You know why he's done that, though, don't you?" And he went, "No, why?" I went, "Because he's a bastard."
Right, exactly. No matter what he does, that's the justification.
Yeah,
He tells you on his intro. It's on his Tron, for God's sake.
yeah. You know, his nickname's a bastard, so of course he's going to do bastardy things.
Duh.
Yeah,
Oh, but yeah, what are you going to do? But at some point, we're going to get a tag team title match between the Bucks and Pac and Phoenix.
yeah.
Well, it's not going to be. It's going to be good, obviously.
Yeah.
Me being me, I like Death Triangle. I want them to win that. It ain't happening though.
No, not yet. Anyway,
because the Young Bucks don't have this really weird idea about the fact that they think they're the best.
no.
Might have been a case at one point, but not now.
No, there's teams nowadays that will give them a run for the money, Like, obviously, Pac and Phoenix, but there's others out there as well. I mean, you've got the Acclaimed.
Phoenix and Penta.
Yeah. You've got the Acclaimed, but that's going to be on the back burner for a bit because I think it's, is it not the rapper guy, but the other one, Anthony Bowen?
That's it. He's injured. He's injured.
Yeah, so, so that'll be on the back burner. You've got, obviously, FTR. That's the revival for those who,
are unfamiliar. Yes. But with FTR, of course, they were involved in that angle we're going to talk about at the end of Dynamite. I think that will definitely be a thing at some point. You've got Jurassic Express, let's see, SCU, because you've got Frankie and Daniels. That's going to happen at some point because outside of Pac and Phoenix being number one contenders, they are the next team in line is Kazarian and Daniels.
Yeah.
And they've got that step about the next time they lose, they're going to split. So that's definitely going to be a thing at some point.
Yeah. So I think the whole SCU thing will just disappear, and because obviously Scorpio Sky's already basically left them.
Yeah,
again, no explanation as to why. I mean, obviously, I know about the attitude kind of change that's gone on, but no explanation as to why he actually left Daniels and Kazarian.
Well, we might get that this week, I think, following on obviously what happened in the title match.
Yeah.
So we will have to see what goes on with that. But there's so many teams where it's a case of, I mean, some of them just need experience, but they will definitely get there.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to see what happens, I guess. So, I mean, you mentioned Daniel, you mentioned Scorpio Sky. We're just not going to cover everything about Dynamite because I don't think we need to. But Scorpio Sky was in the main event against Darby Allin. This was a result of him winning the ladder match.
He got him in the heel hook, didn't he?
Yeah, so after Darby beat him fair and square.
Yeah, and he held on, wouldn't let go. So that's basically cements his heel turn.
So this cements his heel turn. Watch.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what he did.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking there may be an explanation possibly on Dark or Elevation even. But then again, you may have one come Dynamite at some point as to why. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think Scorpio definitely needs it, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So, because he was kind of stale.
Yeah. I mean, is it more the fact that he was aligned with Daniels and Kazarian, who weren't really going anywhere at the time? So we basically needed to break away. Yeah.
Well, I think also in the case of Daniels is also the head of talent relations, so that kind of limits what he can do as well.
Yeah.
So they're not bad. It's just, you can't always account for what's going on.
No.
It's definitely one of those things. But we'll see what happens with Scorpio because you never know. Because him and Darby might end up having an ongoing thing, maybe.
Yeah. And then you've got the there's a few others I can think of that he could feud with at some point.
Oh, there's a big list. There's a big list.
Mm.
Absolutely. So, we kind of touched upon the Jericho thing earlier with the Inner Circle and MJF. So we're pretty much here at this point because this is actually what main evented the show, which kind of told you something was going to happen.
And you know what?
I just don't think anyone expected what happened.
Nope, but I think it was really, really well done.
Yeah, because the best part about this is nobody looks stupid.
No. Yeah, definitely not. You know,
which is very hard to do.
Yeah. It's I just think the way when he was begging off and then switched it around on them, I thought that was a masterstroke.
Yeah. I was curious to see how he was going to get out of it because I didn't think they were going to get to beat him down because I figured something was going to happen.
Yeah. And I want to, I mean, and this is one of them ones that have come from absolutely nowhere as well. And I kind of like them kind of things.
Yeah, it's never a bad thing. It's nice to be surprised. But the thing that kind of tipped me off that something was going to happen is there was no Wardlow with him.
Yeah.
And that's usually quite telling. Obviously, I didn't expect him to then appear with Spears, FTR, Tully.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean, it also makes sense. You've got MJF now with Spears and FTR. And for those who've got memories, will remember back at the beginning of COVID, there was ringside skits of Shawn Spears and MJF gambling on matches. So it's not like that's come completely out of the blue. There is a history there.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like saying, "Oh, it's the Horseman. It's the Horseman." I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, one of the reasons being as well, I've been told apparently the group's got a name already, and it's called the Pinnacle.
The Pinnacle.
Yeah. It does make sense when you think about it because MJF's all about being the best at the top, and the Pinnacle's like the top of the height. So it makes sense. Whether it is that, I don't know, but it's what I've been told.
And FTR have always proclaiming themselves to be the best tag team in the business. So
top guys,
and then not as such in this company. You got Shawn Spears, but if you go back to when he was in NXT, he was called the Perfect 10. So that kind of puts a spin on things, I guess.
It certainly does. I think the thing is, though, the reason you're going to get the Horseman comparisons is you've got the tag team, which is Tully and Arn. MJF is very much the Flair mold, not actually Flair, but you can see the comparison. And then, but the weird one is Spears, and I think that will be because they gave him the black gloves, so it'll be like, oh look, it's Barry Windham.
Barry Windham, yeah.
No offense to Shawn Spears, I like Shawn Spears,
but he's not Barry Windham.
Barry Windham is not.
No, but definitely not.
And that's no knock on any wrestler. No wrestler could be Barry Windham. That man.
Yeah.
But with most wrestlers do weights every day. They train. They keep in shape and stuff. Barry Windham actually never went to the gym a day in his life.
No, probably drunk quite heavily.
And I've heard stories.
Yeah, but still put on really good matches.
Yeah. Watch him in the ring. You would never know.
Nope, definitely not. Definitely not.
So it's not looking at, so it's not a knock on Spears at all.
No.
I think Spears is a very good wrestler.
Yeah.
But Barry Windham is what you call a generational talent.
Yeah.
As in, good luck waiting for the next time it happens.
Yeah. That's it.
So it's almost like you could almost say it's what happened with Dustin Rhodes when Dustin first turned up. He learned so quickly and could just do things.
Yeah. Well, very few
wrestlers can do that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, some of these guys have got the advantage, aren't they, though, for having, like his dad in the business, like, Dusty,
And Barry's, of course, Blackjack.
And then if you talk about Bray Wyatt, obviously he's got, IRS, Mike Rotunda, and
of course,
obviously his Uncle Barry.
Yeah, and of
You
course
know,
you've got Taylor and Wyndham, which is Bowen
Yeah.
Bray,
yeah,
IRS, who Uncle Barry.
yeah.
For those of you with short-term memories or don't know this, Barry and IRS were tag team champions once upon a time in WWE.
Yeah.
So go back in your history to find that one.
Talking like 1985, 1986, WrestleMania 1. You know?
It's that time period. You got it.
Yeah.
I believe the American Express.
Yeah. Oh, is it US Express or American Express? You recall?
It's something along those lines. Yeah. But yeah, they were tag champions together.
Yeah. And I think that they ended up losing to was it Ryan Sheik and Nikolai Volkov they lost the titles to?
It's quite possible because it'd have to be that kind of time frame.
Yeah.
Because Sheiky would have already lost the title to Hogan at that point. So that would actually make sense.
Yeah.
See. Although to be fair, at that point in time when Sheiky was still at the peak of his powers, you'd be careful how you deal with Sheiky because Sheiky break you.
Yeah.
So, but it's what they say. It'll be interesting to see what happens as a result of obviously what happened at the end of Dynamite. We have a few matches that were set up during this Dynamite as well for the following week. We've touched upon some of them. Cody and Penta, Rosa and Britt, which is unsanctioned lights out match, the main event. Fantastic. There was a few others as well, so we'll definitely see how those go. Let's see. We've touched upon Impact as well, so obviously we are going to touch lightly on New Japan, but obviously we're not going to go too much in detail because Ant hasn't seen all the bits and pieces yet, so I don't want to spoil anything for him, like I accidentally did last time we did the show.
Yeah. You know? That was funny though, that.
Yeah, I was like, oops.
Yeah.
You have to always bear
what it was that you spoiled for me actually didn't come across that bad anyway, because Okada, I can see the reason why he lost that match, because he's actually carrying an injury. So of course they're trying to protect him now. So losing in the first round made sense to me, because then now when he wrestles, he can wrestle in the 6-man tags, the 8-man tags, what they have on each show.
It gives him time to recover and protect himself.
Yeah. So and plus the fact who he lost to anyway. I mean, it's like he's the kind of guy who's heading towards the top anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
it's one of the big advantages you get with the way New Japan do these multi-man matches.
Yeah.
Is you can protect people who are possibly carrying injuries, so they don't necessarily have to take time off. They just don't have to be in the ring all the time.
No. And even when they get in the ring, it's only usually for brief spurts, like a couple of minutes, you know. Yeah. I mean, so it's nothing major. They don't even have to take a high impact move. You know, a couple of kicks, punches, maybe the odd body slam here, you know.
Exactly. I mean, particularly in Okada's case, he's fortunate that his finishing move isn't that flamboyant, so he doesn't have to take that much of a risk to do it.
No, it's his finishing move, for those who don't know, is called the Rainmaker. Yeah, like a short arm clothesline. If you remember back in the day, is what Jake the Snake Roberts used to do. The very same move as a precursor to the DDT.
He still does it.
Yeah,
he did it in the ladder match, actually, the one that was on Revolution.
Yeah.
Very shortly after he got kicked, his face got kicked with a pen, which I cracked up for. I was so laughing at that. But that's what Okada's move is. Yeah.
Okada's also started using another finishing move, which is almost like a head and arm choke kind of thing.
Yeah, I always thought Okada needed to do more stuff because I didn't like the Rainmaker as a finisher, and it's nothing against the Rainmaker. I just don't think it's a finishing move.
No, definitely not. You know, if you're going to use a clothesline as a finisher, at least have it. You know, like what Adam Page does, for instance, the buckshot lariat, or the way
lariat.
JBL to do it. You know, and fuck me, did he used to take people's heads off when he done it?
Yeah, it's the same reason Hanson's works. Is you put a lot of oomph behind it, a lot of power. Yeah. The way that Page's works because he does the thing over the ropes and puts momentum behind it because it's a power play. When Okada does it, it looks like he's kissing them.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it's definitely going to be safer, but it doesn't look as good.
No.
So
definitely not as much power behind it as he could get behind it.
Yeah, especially when in the same organisation you've got somebody like Bad Luck Farley who does the Farley Fall.
Yeah, but he's also got a move called the Grenade, which is basically it's almost like he whacks them in the side of the neck with his thumb, and
Well, there you go.
The Grenade, he calls it.
Yeah, but there you go. That's an explanation of it works both ways. You've got two moves which work very well. I think this is why the choke thing I think works well for Okada, because it gives him anything else to use other than the Rainmaker, because the Rainmaker is not the best of moves. The only good thing for the Rainmaker is you can do it to anyone.
Yeah. And,
which isn't a bad thing to be able to do, but it's not that impactful for somebody because of his size, essentially.
Yeah. Because by rights, if he's doing it to someone like a Jeff Cobb, a big guy like Jeff Cobb,
big stocky,
you'd think he'd be able to stand up to that kind of move.
Right, but if Jeff Cobb did that to someone, you're pretty sure they'd fall over.
Yeah. And again, like you said, Bad Luck Fale,
Yeah. But this is why I made the comparison before, because you brought up JBL, rightly so, Stan Hansen, we have Adam Page, all of whom are bigger in stature and have the power to make that look that way. So it works. But nothing against Okada. I like Okada as a wrestler, but I think he definitely needs to change his finishing move from the Rainmaker. Yes, have the choke in it, but he does need a pinfall one as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but saying that though, that drop kick he does, I can't understand why you don't have that as a finisher, because he hits, he gets some great height on that drop kick he does.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. The minute you do that, you will hear all the smarty marks come out and go, you can't have a drop kick as a finisher.
Oh, really?
Using that voice, probably. I mean, I agree. I don't see the problem with that. If you're Okada's size and you can drop kick like that, use it.
Yeah. As long as you get good power behind the kick, then yeah, by all means.
Yeah, I don't see the issue. I mean, there's been plenty of wrestlers who use drop kicks as finishers. Brian Pillman did.
Yeah.
Tom Zink did. Both of whom did very good drop kicks.
Yeah.
Okada's is better than Zink's, but it's not better than Pillman's.
No, yeah.
But it works as a finisher. Absolutely, it does. For the right wrestler, yes, absolutely. So, I mean, you wouldn't believe it, for instance, if it was Lance Archer, for an example.
No. Yeah.
Mainly because he doesn't have to do it.
Definitely. No, he doesn't.
Although,
you
imagine someone like Yokozuna used to use a drop kick, or like Vader.
Yeah. Well, I've seen someone like size of Bam Bam Bigelow throw a drop kick. I've even seen Paul White throw a drop kick.
To be fair to both Bam Bam and Paul White, they were both athletic big men. They weren't just big, and they could do stuff. Bam Bam used to cartwheel and stuff. And Paul White, I've seen Paul White like tope con hilo over top ropes and stuff.
Well, I've seen Bam Bam Bigelow used to do the slingshot splash over the top rope. There
you go. Athletic big men. So they could do drop kicks, and I've seen them both do drop kicks.
I've even seen Earthquake do a drop kick.
There you go.
Yeah.
But Earthquake's another one. More agile than he looked.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think some of that probably comes from the sumo thing, because you look at Yoko. I mean, Yoko obviously couldn't get off the ground, but agile was bugger.
Yeah.
The man had flexibility, and he was agile.
Yeah.
So, again, sometimes a finisher will work for somebody, it just won't. Just trying to think what may work for a card. A net breaker, maybe?
Yeah, possible, yeah.
So, but the drop kick's not a bad shout, but there's a few finishers which somebody that size will work. Because I think at his size, in New Japan, you generally don't have that many really big wrestlers.
No.
So you can get away with doing certain finishers, which you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So, probably something for him to look into, maybe. But there's also the case of if you ain't fixed, don't break it. And as long as the Rainmaker works for him, then
exactly.
It's just a critique I have. Whether he goes with it or not, don't know.
Yeah.
So we will have to see. But yeah, obviously we've had some progression on the New Japan Cup. I'm again not going to go into details as to who won what. You guys can find that stuff out quite easily. So, but it's looking quite interesting. That's all I'm saying, because I don't want to spoil.
No, from what my theory that I was going to talk about I've had a theory for a long time, and it's regarding the Bullet Club.
Oh, you mean the Boring Club? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a theory that I have had, and someone that I speak to quite regularly about New Japan is about the Bullet Club actually there being a civil war between the two, I've had a feeling for a while now that Jay White and Evil are gonna kind of go up against each other.
Okay.
Jay White's he's gonna lead a faction of the non-Japanese, and then you'd get Evil, who would be the leader of a Japanese faction of the Bullet Club, and Jay White would be a leader of the what they call Gaijins.
Okay, right. I get why you do that, but here's the thing, right? My biggest gripe with the Bullet Club, and it's something everyone really well knows about this, is it's basically a rip-off of the NWO.
Yeah.
What you're describing there is essentially NWO
Hollywood and Black and White.
NWO Wolfpack.
Yeah. And Wolfpack. Yeah.
Except for you've replaced it with homegrown Gaijin.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, for those who might not understand, Gaijin basically is like foreigners.
Yeah, non-Japanese.
Non-Japanese, yeah. So you'd have Jay White, you'd have Chase Owens, Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, Hikuleo when he's back from excursion and whatever else he's doing. Quite a few. There's a few others non-Japanese as well, but then you'd have Evil, who'd obviously be with Dick Togo. You'd have Taiji Ishimori. You'd have Kenta. You'd have Takahashi. Yujiro Takahashi. And that's the theory I've got. It may or may not happen, but I think if you want to make the Bullet Club kind of more interesting, I think that would be a way to do it.
I can see where you're coming from, Mike. I do, but there's only one way you could make the Bullet Club interesting to me personally, and this for me, get rid of it.
Yeah,
it's 8 years now.
Yeah,
too long.
Yeah.
But I get your theory, though, and it's not the worst theory for booking wrestling, absolutely not. But as a faction, come on, really?
I had the same thing about DX, though.
Yeah.
I was never a fan of DX to begin with. Never a fan of DX to begin with at all.
And then it came back, 3-4 times?
Yeah.
It felt like 36,000 times, yeah.
I mean, when he was still fucking coming back in 2014, and you had fucking men in their 50s still fucking rubbing their nuts. And saying, suck it. No. I mean, yeah.
They also reunited for one of those Super Show things, the one in Australia. They fought Kane and Undertaker. And that was quite recently, so obviously they were even older then.
I bet that was painful to watch.
Oh, it was. Sean was so bad. He missed moonsaults. It was not good.
No, I can imagine that.
So, I mean, I was never the big Shawn Michaels fan anyway, but that was just bad.
And I certainly didn't like Triple H back in the day either. So, yeah.
Yeah, I am the news.
Yeah, but that's with the Bullet Club thing. I think it's just a theory I've had, and I've had this theory for a good few months now.
Well, to be fair, if they're reading the WCW playbook, that is the next step, really, for them.
Yeah.
But the thing I'd point out is when it happened to the NWO, which is the faction they're ripping off, eventually that led to a reunification to the Deluxe edition, whatever that bloody hell they call it, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then eventually he just died about 6 months later, and it was gone.
Yeah. So
if it means it dies, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
It needs to go away. But yeah, do something with it. It's just so stale at present. It's like, come on, really?
Yeah. Something needs to give there, doesn't it? So
Yeah, at least make it interesting. Do something.
Hmm.
I mean, there's only so much you can do with a group like that, though. And after 8 years, that's wow.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in DX's case, I'm not a DX fan. It wasn't continuous. They would go like 2 years, break up,
Yeah.
and back another year or so, break up, and
Yeah.
not because I mean, still not great, but it's better.
Yeah. But I still never cared about him.
Oh no, neither did I. But as a group, that
Mm.
booking makes more sense to me than having a group for 8 bloody years.
Yeah.
So, because I know a problem with groups, with factions at all, because you've got Chaos, Suzuki-gun,
Yeah.
LIJ, you had all those groups.
Yeah.
And they're all different,
Mm.
not all the same, which is a big thing. Big fan of that. Make them all different. But the only thing for the Bullet Club is apparently, oh, we're just the NWO, but like now. It's like.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. They could have gone with anything else with it, and it would have been so much better. Oh, and by the way, this needs to go.
Yeah, because that's definitely a rip-off of NWO, that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Unless you're Scott Hall or Kevin Nash.
Yeah, don't do it.
No.
Do not do it.
Even Hogan. I'd let Hogan do it too.
Yeah.
Okay, not an issue.
Mm.
Anyone else? No.
Nope, definitely not.
So, I mean, I have issues with Hulk Hogan, but
he,
at least, in my opinion, is entitled to do that because he was one of the founding members of the NWO, which is the faction that made that gesture famous.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, so.
Oh, so much ranting, so little time. So, but so New Japan. Was there anything else happening in New Japan other than the cup? I'm just trying to think.
No, nothing going on. But I know you've got the New Beginnings starting again soon. So
I was gonna say, yeah, I know something. I know something has to be soon. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the New Beginning shows, and you've got Dominion coming up in a month or so.
That's May, isn't it? Dominion.
Yeah, so you're going to start leading up to that soon. So, of course, then you've got obviously you're going to have the best of the Super Juniors at some point, and you're going to have world. What else have you got? G1 Climax.
Yeah, well, best of the Super Juniors.
Yeah,
I like that. The G1 Climax is also an interesting concept as well because the winner of that, of course, generally faces the champion at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yep.
So it's always worth keeping an eye on the person who wins that because generally the winner does quite well out of that.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting concept as well. So
yeah, I mean, for those who aren't very familiar with the New Japan product, give it a go.
I would definitely suggest if you're not familiar with it and you're just starting with it, Super Juniors and G1 Climax.
Yeah.
Probably two very easy ways for you to get just into it and follow what's going on because you don't need to understand anything. You just need to, it will be obvious by what's going on.
I will have to say, though, it does take dedication because they have quite a lot of shows. I mean, you're talking sometimes you could have sort of like 5 shows a week.
Yeah.
Here's
the other thing, though, guys. The crowds are different as well when they have crowds. Don't let that put you off. It's just because it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, they stay quiet until there's the big moves, and then they go wild for the big moves.
Yeah.
Oh.
And for those who just want to see the spectacularness of New Japan, Wrestle Kingdoms.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a particular one you'd recommend for people to watch?
Just the one where Jericho fought on Kenny Omega. That was a good one.
Let's see. Just trying to think what number that would be.
Jericho and Omega. They fought. Was it 12 or 13?
I'm just trying to think what one that actually is. So I know it must have been fairly recent.
And then Omega and Okada.
Oh, there.
Omega and Okada, I'd probably say even better than Jericho and Omega. If you're talking about good matches for New Japan to go back and look at.
Right. I'm just going to have a quick look and see what I can find. So let's see. Right. Wrestle Kingdoms also sometimes, depending on which one you're watching, is over 2 nights. So
yeah, that's only been a recent thing though, but I think that could be because of the COVID thing.
Yeah. I'm just letting obviously the people watching know it is a thing. Don't worry if you see like night 1, night 2, that's normal. Just make sure you watch them in order because otherwise it's weird. Let's see, just trying to find Wrestle Kingdoms. I suspect it's Wrestle Kingdom 12 for me. Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom 12, Omega and Jericho.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a good one. And then you had Omega and Okada as well, which was a good one.
Okay. I suspect that may be possibly the year before, so let's have a look.
And even when Jay White fought Okada as well, that was a good one.
It was the year before, so that's Wrestle Kingdom 11. So 11 and 12.
Yeah.
So, and you also have to fight, I believe it's 10.
Yeah.
If I'm right. Yes, Wrestle Kingdom 10. You have AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, if you want to see how that match should have gone and not watch the watered down version of it, watch that Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
You will also see a bunch of familiar wrestlers who you're not familiar with. You've got Kenny Omega on there. You've got Gallows and Anderson on there as well.
Yeah.
So the Bucks are on there too with Cody. So there's people you'll be familiar with if you're familiar with any of the other wrestling things around the world.
Yeah.
So,
I
would say it's a good and easy way for people just to watch stuff. So if they just want an idea of, because essentially Wrestle Kingdom, for those who are not familiar, is essentially their WrestleMania.
Yeah.
If you're going to put it in terms that relate to how most people see wrestling, it's the big deal, basically.
Yeah.
And for those of you with long enough memories, may be interested to know, its precursor was the Super Show, which you had WCW appear on a few times as well.
Yeah, that's it. Because you know what I mean. You have the new, you know what I mean. You have the New Year Dash. You have, they're some of the big shows around the New Year time. Yeah.
Because what you also find, I think, with Wrestle Kingdom is usually the next day there's actually an event as well.
Yeah. Yeah, New Year's Dash normally.
Yeah, and what that is, to explain to people who aren't familiar with the product, is generally you tend to find most feuds end at Wrestle Kingdom and all the new ones start up at the next day.
That's very similar to obviously with what happens at WrestleMania. I mean, so it's what they call pressing the reset button.
Yeah, essentially.
As it were. Some feuds start at WrestleMania, some feuds end at WrestleMania. You know, with this New Year Dash, some feuds start at New Year's Dash. So
we have this question, which is just popped up, which has just been put forward by the admin people. So this is from Stephanie. So hello, Stephanie. Right. How easy would it be to watch AEW? Right. I mean, obviously, finish what you're saying, and we will address that question when you're finished.
Yeah. So, yeah. How easy would it be to watch AEW?
Yeah.
Well, when you're someone like me who can't stand WWE, very easy.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's a case of how easy is it to get into to familiarize yourself with what's going on, essentially.
I mean, what day? For me, what actually day is it on TV in the UK?
I don't know. I watch it on Fight. So
I watch it on Cody. So obviously, I don't have a clue what. But
well, when it's shown on Fight, it's literally shown live. So it's just like what I saw in the morning. But obviously, but you can also watch it on Fight delayed.
Right. Yeah. But my advice would be just see what show's coming up this week. Just give it a go. You know what I mean, it's you might be familiar with some of the names anyway.
Yeah, if you've watched WWE particularly, there will be wrestlers you will know.
I mean, if she's very
even the commentator, you're going to know Jim Ross.
Yeah. You know Jim Ross, you'll know Tony Schiavone. I mean, if you can remember the old WCW,
Yeah, that's an age thing, of course, unless you've got the
yeah,
network to go and look at it at. So.
yeah, that's that for for the older people watching this. Yeah, I would say it kind of has a WCW feel to it. And I mean, the TNT thing, obviously, it's.
Yeah. I also think a lot of it also depends on what you want from your wrestling.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important thing because every company offers something different.
And if you want something different to WWE, I mean, I know there's people who just watch WWE and do not watch anything else.
Yeah, the co-host of my other show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're just talking for me, I found it easy to get into straight away because I always like to try new promotions, and I was excited for AEW when the concept first showed up, especially with the people that was involved.
Yeah. I suspect for me and you, it's also easier because we're of a generation where we had ECW, we had WCW as well as WWE, so we always had alternatives.
Yeah.
Anyone from about probably 2001 onwards didn't, unless TNA as an alternative, which was very hard to watch anyway for most people. So, because the issue is, if you're not used to an alternative, you may find it a bit jarring. But again, if you like the sports entertainment aspect of WWE, then you probably just want to stay with WWE. I would say.
Yeah.
If you like the wrestling and the athleticism stuff, then AEW is probably for you, as well as like New Japan. But New Japan also has a language barrier thing as well. But if you're going to start simple with things other than WWE, then I'd say AEW is probably your best bet.
Yeah.
Because it's probably the easiest of the other things to watch as well, because it's easy to find. Because in the United Kingdom particularly, it's on ITV over here.
Yeah.
Which ITV is free to air here, so anyone can watch it. Or for those of you who have the Fight app, you can also get it that way by getting the AEW Plus subscription. It's like £3 a month or something, which is what I have to watch it. So
yeah.
And for those of you who want to go the alternative route, like Ant does, there's always Cody.
Yeah.
So
yeah, very careful when you use Cody, though.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not strictly legal, the add-ons that people use for Cody. So if you want basically to err on the side of caution, as it were, get yourself a VPN.
I understand it's down to you whether you're using it or not. We are not telling you to use it. It's your choice.
My choice, and I won't tell anyone what to do. I mean,
Yeah, we're just explaining how you can watch it. Yeah. But I would also say as well, other thing you can do if you want to watch AEW is there's Dark.
Yeah.
And there's Elevation app, which are on YouTube, which anyone in the world can get.
Yeah.
So that's how you can see some of the emerging younger talent as well. And you don't have to wait at storylines because generally there aren't any.
No.
So that may be an easier gateway into it. Possibly that may help some people, give you an idea. Also, it's a much more laid back show. The commentators are also much more laid back as well. So it's not as always going to be in your face. So if that appeals to you, possibly, then there's always Dynamite, and then consequently there's pay-per-views. At some point, if it's appealing to anyone, I will possibly come up with a list of things which may help people get involved in each company. Obviously, I'll get Ant to help with the New Japan stuff because that's pretty much Ant's forte. He's very good at that. I can help people with AEW stuff, and between us, we can sort out Impact stuff, I'm pretty sure. So, again, some things are just going to be easier to watch than others. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, with the New Japan, New Japan, they've got an app called New Japan World, and it's the equivalent of something like £7 a month.
Yeah.
Which I used to have the actual app, until they decided that they were no longer supporting the Chrome like the Android. So I had to obviously.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, but I'm not saying it on now. I'll tell you later. So, I know why, but it's not something I'm going to share with the general public. So, but a lot of it is a case of if you want to try out stuff, YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of companies have stuff on YouTube, and it's not cost you anything. And just type in the search engine.
Also, you've heard of a company called Major League Wrestling, MLW?
Oh, there you go. There's another one.
MLW have got a YouTube channel, and their actual shows are on YouTube.
Ring of Honor's out there somewhere for anyone else who's interested in that as well.
So on Ring of Honor's YouTube channel, they actually show some fights in full. They don't actually show their actual the shows in full, but they show certain fights. They show certain archive content.
Okay, this is where something will really appeal. If you do want to check out Ring of Honor, get the Fight app. The shows are shown on there, and they are free and they're in full. The pay-per-views you pay for, but the actual shows, like the weekly shows, you can just watch them.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the in-ring action goes, it shouldn't be hard for people to pick up and get the hold of. I would say though, AEW on the whole tends to be more adult orientated, and some of it can be a bit more brutal and violent. If that's not your thing, that's okay. Just don't watch those. You can watch the other matches. It's all about choice. Pick and choose what you want to watch. Nobody's going to tell you right or wrong because we all have different tastes.
Absolutely.
But the best advice I think either one of us could probably give you, I mean, Ant will speak for himself because I don't need to speak for him, is I think just give it a try and see. But have an open mind to it.
Yeah.
It might not be for you, and that's okay too.
Yeah. That's all you can do. If you like it, you like it, great. Then if you don't like it, then hey, it's no big deal.
Yeah. We're happy to help. You can always just get in touch with us if you need help with finding things or doing stuff. Then we're happy to.
Always happy to answer the questions. If you've got any questions about anything wrestling related, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah. There's a comment section underneath us on YouTube. Guys can put stuff in there. I can always make sure I can always forward anything to Ant that you want Ant to answer. Yeah. I see these things anyway, so that makes it easy for me. So there's always ways and means to get a hold of us. So if you want us to answer your questions and stuff, it's not a problem. Obviously, if you're catching us live, you have the chat, like Stephanie just used.
Yeah.
So, which is always a good thing. Other thing is, let's see. So, let's see. Is there anything else? Yes, we mentioned about Jim Crockett. Actually, that's what I was going to do. Jim Crockett thing. I'm going to give a plug to something, right? Obviously, Jim Crockett Jr. died. We mentioned this in the last show, right? Okay. Something I've discovered is a thing, and if Jim Crockett and Jim Crockett Promotions was your thing, then what you may want to do is check out adfreeshows.com by Conrad Thompson. There is a series of interviews they had with Jim Crockett Jr. just before he died. And they're putting them up at points and pieces. I think you have to pay to be a member or something, but if it's your thing, you may want to check them out because I guarantee that's the last interviews he's ever giving. So if it's your thing, you may want to check it out. So I thought I'd highlight to people, anyone who's interested in hearing directly from Jim Crockett Jr. because it ain't happening again.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, obviously, but it's just really amazing timing that he was able to get that stuff before he went. So at least it's documented somewhere. So, but yes, let's have an affirmation right now.
Yeah.
Jim Cornette should not be allowed to call anyone anything because Jim Cornette lives in his mother's basement.
Yeah. He probably sits there in his white front and his white vest with food stains all down it, cursing the wrestling business. And,
goddamn young bucks!
I think he thinks the whole world owes him a favour.
Yeah. God damn, Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Goddamn Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Swinging his tennis racket around, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Great manager, but
Yeah.
keep you. There's some things you should just keep to yourself.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
and I don't
Yeah.
mean to pick on Jim Cornette as a person. I'm personally convinced this is an act he puts on for the entertainment for people. Some people really do find it entertaining. I just don't. And even if it's an act, there is no call for calling somebody what he called Penelope Ford.
No, definitely not.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. So let's see. Is there anything else we have to cover? I think would be the question.
Not that I can think of, but
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think we've missed anything major. So
no.
Yeah, I think we are pretty good. So, yes, we already covered who you want to win the
New Japan Cup.
Yes, we did that last week. Yeah, we want to make sure I get because I thought that was kind of important. Yes, that's what I was going to bring up with you. NWA. Okay. Apparently, it's going to be starting up again and recording. Okay. Here's my question to you, as a wrestling fan: is it too little, too late? Have they been dormant too long?
It's for me. They're just trying to cling on to the glory days, and I just don't think they'll ever get back to that. In all honesty, you know.
Yeah, I kind of agree. In all honesty, I liked what Billy Corgan tried to do with it. Absolutely. Yeah. And also, as a result of this, I've been exposed to talents like Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
Always a big up. You got Nick Aldis.
Yeah, Nick Aldis. You know.
It's the same reason you've got James Storm back in Impact now because he was there as well. Yeah. Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks is another one.
Yeah.
MJF was there at one point, I do believe. I'm sure he was.
MLB, I think, was MJF. I think, but he may have done NBA. I don't know. But there's a lot of talent that passed through there, which we now have on our screens at various other promotions. And if it wasn't probably for NWA, we wouldn't probably be exposed to them or have these talents. So I don't mind there being multiple companies. I think it's a good thing because it gives more people more work.
Yeah.
But when you're dormant for that long, I do think you are going to struggle.
Yeah, I think so. You know, good luck to them and everything.
Yeah. Obviously not their fault because COVID.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, I hope it succeeds. I'm with you.
Yeah, good luck. Any other, the more the merrier for me.
Yeah, you have too many hours free in your life at the moment. You need to watch more stuff.
Yeah,
your kids don't need. It's fine.
Yeah.
As we found out last week, your child is very understanding and does not want your attention ever.
No, definitely not. So.
Yeah. For those of you who didn't see last week, he very much wants dad's attention, and that's normal for children. So anyone who had an issue with that last week, no, because children are like that. That's how they are. They want their parents' attention. Of course they do. Deal with it. Basically, is what I'm telling you. As the host of the show, I had no issue with it. So why should you?
Yeah.
You still got your content, and you still got to hear from us.
Yeah. It'd be interesting one day, maybe, to even get him on the show to give his perspective.
Well, it wouldn't hurt me. I think it's a good idea, actually, at some point.
Yeah, would be interesting. Maybe the show might not be as long though with him because obviously it would be a short attention span and.
Yeah, that would be the thing, of course. If we might do at some point, because I mentioned this before we go on. We may be getting extra bonus shows, which is only for certain who support us and stuff. So maybe that would be a thing to put on there because those we can just have a 10, 20-minute segment where we just talk with him and he gives us his opinions, maybe.
Yeah.
Because then he doesn't have to be on here the sort of length of time we do shows. And because a child that age, speaking from when I was a child that age, you're never sitting still for that long.
No. Yeah. So
it's certainly something we could certainly ask him and see what he says,
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe he may not. it could be fun. We could also possibly have a show where he wrestles Daddy and he beats you.
Yeah.
It could be hilarious. Because here's my question, right? Before we disappear, this is a legit question. If you had a wrestling match against Tim, would you put him over?
Of course I would. Yeah.
Always put over the younger talent. Well done.
Absolutely. You know.
So it's good to know because sometimes us veterans hang on for too long and we have to push the younger stars.
Yeah.
But because if you don't do it properly, you end up like WWE.
Yep.
So
absolutely. You know.
But this is the thing where a lot of these other companies are getting this right: is they're having they've got their experienced talent, but you've also got your younger talent, and they're got them at the same sort of levels, and they're working together, learning from each other. So once your veterans have retired, your younger talent becomes your experienced talent because they've worked with the veterans before.
Yeah. And
that's how you keep your talent and your entertainment at a consistent level when you don't get dips.
Yeah.
So here's the question: would he make you tap out, or would he pin you?
He'd probably use a weapon.
Yeah. Are we talking hardcore, or are you going to have an exploding barbed wire ring match?
Well, yeah, he'd probably, the more brutal, the better for him, probably.
So here's my question: would he be able to make it explode, unlike AEW?
Probably, yeah.
To be fair, he could get a little firecracker and it'd still make a bigger bang.
Yeah, definitely.
Although I'm not quite sure how his mother would feel about that. But, it's all good fun. So, right. So I can't really. I think we are pretty much done because I can't think of anything else we need to talk about really. So, obviously, the next time we do one of these, we will talk more, obviously, about these sort of things. We will talk more about the Japan Cup because I don't want to talk about stuff until I can without spoiling it for Ant. Because the whole point of watching these things is to enjoy them, which is why I'll be talking about stuff that hasn't happened yet. Because there's certain things I know happened, but I'm not going to elaborate on them because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's watching who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
So people should be able to enjoy this stuff without people spoiling it. I mean, what pleasure does that give anyone if you spoil things for people on purpose? That's just dumb.
Yeah.
So, it's like somebody like doing this going, I'm better than you, and I know it.
Yeah.
So, because he'd spoil it for everyone. You know, he'd tell everyone everything. But to be fair, that's his gimmick. So, you'd be disappointed if he didn't. Right. So at this point, we will say goodbye to all the lovely people out there, and obviously social medias and all that sort of stuff. Links are down there. You can't have Ants because basically you have to be able to get off him a necessary contract. He wants to name all the stipulations, and he needs his guaranteed downside, and he only wants to appear for 4 pay-per-views a year, and he wants creative control.
Complete creative control. Yeah.
For some of our younger viewers, that's going to go right over your head. Look it up. You may get the reference, brother.
So all I can ask is, what you going to do?
When I do a search on you. Oh dear God! Right. In that case, people, we will see you soon. I will, of course, see you guys Wednesday for sorting stuff, and we will be back. Let's see. It depends what happened, I guess. I'll let you guys know, basically. So it depends on when Ant's available and when I'm available as well, because Ant has a family and I'm busy. Is the honest answer. Also, we don't always need to be on air to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So sometimes you guys just don't get to see it. Sorry. Yeah. But I'm sure we'll come up with something else. But yeah, also only 4 pay-per-views a year, so I kind of have to make sure we don't go over his downside guarantee, otherwise I have to pay him more. Right. So, I'm just going to give you all guys all a little wavy goodbye, and then we are off.
Okay.